discuss time travel, or what I believe to be the theory of time travel. Okay. Well, do you believe time travel exists, or do you think it's just fiction, just movies, just books? Let's just say, if you follow science and science theory, you would say yes, time travel is possible. And if you're just a regular Joe, well, in essence, you get told what to believe. I believe in time travel. I have my own theory on time travel. I believe that once a timeline has been written, it can't be erased. It can't be changed. Or it can. Oh, here I go. Well, here's how it works. When you time travel, when you go back in time, you cannot travel in the same timeline. Meaning that if you were to, for example, go back a year in time, you would go back, but you wouldn't go back to your line because it's already been written. You would have to start at a point where it's been written, like being written. So in essence, you have to go back right at the beginning of that particular timeline starting. So it would be like right now, if I were to say I'm going to jump, someone can come into this timeline, but only in the moment that it's happening. So for example, right now, they could actually jump into the timeline. Right now they can't do it anymore because it just went away. So it has to be an exact jump, but it has to come from another time. So that means it cannot come, this timeline hasn't been written. The future hasn't been written in this timeline. So therefore it can't be changed, but it can come in right before. So the moment that you're watching this video, at that point, 2 seconds, 1 second before you've reached that point, you can jump into it. Sound complex, right? So for example, right now I wanted to go back. I could go back into someone else's timeline, and we're talking about a countless amount of timelines being written. Countless of timelines. The number is infinite. That means that life is happening on many levels. You may jump into a timeline where things happen differently. Maybe you have, had events happen. Maybe you jump into the timeline where you no longer exist. Perhaps you're dead. You're no longer alive in that timeline. But you definitely cannot travel back into your own timeline. I mean, that right there, sorry to say, it's an impossibility. In the movies, they get it wrong, because in the movies they do jump from time to time, and when they jump onto these times, they tell you that they're jumping onto the same timeline and just changing something from their own. But in reality, when you look at how the time theory is set up, it actually makes more sense to know that it's like an onion. It has layers upon layers, and since the government, if it is true that they do hold the ability to travel in time, what they have is actually they have a system to look at other timelines and view them and watch them and send people into them, but only to view them to see what the outcome was, like almost like a scenario, like saying, okay, what if scenario. So they jump into a future timeline to for example, find out if we follow this track, what would happen. So they go and they look for, they go into like 10 different timelines, 20 different timelines that are all on the future, and each one, some of them are very close in, very, very close in relation to the events that happen, and others are vastly changed. And then if they wanted to, they could also change it themselves, and then travel onto that timeline's future to see what type of change they've made to it. But whether or not they have control over what timeline they're jumping into, that's another question. Because see, you have to look at the variables of, like, if you're going to do time travel, then you have to contest with the variables, which are jumping into a timeline is one feat unto itself. So imagine having to be, you're able to now adjust when and what moment you jumped into, and also know which timeline you're actually getting into. How do you know that that's the exact timeline unless you have an algorithm that applies to the timeline that you're jumping into, that has a signature, so it has a stamp that tells you that that's the timeline and there's no other timeline like it, and you can identify it as being the timeline. So, I would love to think that if you were to build a machine, you would have the foresight to actually figure out all of these variables, which, if you think about it, they should. I mean, because technically speaking, I'm not a scientist and I'm not a brain when it comes to that type of thinking, or am I? I let go. But at the same time, you got to think that you have to think much more. Your brain has to be working, and not only your brain, but all the other scientists in the room have to be there, have to be thinking as much or more in order to keep up with how many variables there are. Because there's time, then there's period of time, then there's cause and effect. Then there's, of course, and I'm sorry if I'm getting lost here. I'm just daydreaming a little at the same time that I'm talking about this. Believe it or not, I do that sometimes. So you have different variables, all like an onion. Like an onion has skin, and each skin represents a timeline. So you're peeling back the skin to get onto the timeline you want to get into. And for example, that's a ripple in time. It's like saying sometimes, what if you see a person, all right, in a room, and then you see them in another room for a brief second? What was that person doing in that other room? Perhaps you were seeing a timeline that was ripped through the time continuum. So basically, two timelines were going on at the same time, but for a brief moment. It was like it's called a glitch. And then a lot of people would say, "Oh, I saw a ghost, or I saw a spirit, or I saw," and then you can come up with so many things. Sometimes when you have someone that says that they have the ability to see or into the future, or they are able to, I forget the term they call it. I think it's called. It's like voyeur, not a voyeur, but it's like what's it called? It's my video, so I guess I get to have that brain freeze. Thinking, and it would come to me when you're. They made movies about this, by the way, where the character can be in a room and then see something that's going on like hundreds of miles away, in another place, in another part of Earth. They can, they use it to map out areas as well. But I'm trying to remember the name of it. And so essentially, they can tell the army or the navy or the people that are the scientists to what they saw. Like, oh right, well there's a beach, and then there's a base there, and the base has, a hangar, and the hangar inside of it, and then it's like they're telling them something. So the army actually uses this, or supposedly has this going on. Just like if the police, they have these people that will tell them where they found, where to find the body, where the person was killed, if the person felt anything, if they've struggled or whatever. And supposedly the police uses this as well, which is funny, right? You think of sci-fi, it's hocus pocus, but yet the police are actually using psychics. Well, what if I told you a psychic is actually that? They're just tapping into the layers, but at a certain frequency. Because this is what the brain is. The brain is like a computer. So in essence, it receives frequencies. And we as human beings are still playing with the whole frequency thing. We have radio waves, we have sound waves. We have electric waves. We have different types of signals that are sent and that are received. So what makes you think that signals aren't being created or being used to travel into your mind? and that scientists aren't trying to figure out a way to do that. What makes you think that's not happening, or that hasn't happened already? Something's food to food for thought. But we're getting out of the subject of time travel there. It's going into another subject. Time travel. Is it possible? Yes, 100%. It's real. It's real. What happens if you use it? Can something bad happen? Yes. The people that are doing it, or the people that can do it, or the people that are going to do it, are very conscious of this and very smart. That's why they're handling it, and that's why they're doing it. There may be some errors. There may be some things they shouldn't do. But that's the fun part about it. That you're not going to try it. Because maybe you wouldn't know what to do with it. Because you don't think about it as much as they do. As much as I do. And if you do, welcome to the club. Right? It's funny because if you use this finger here as a reference point, as a character, and you're just talking and stuff, you can draw a little face on them and everything, and for some reason people will be more likely to watch the video because of the little character, because they think, oh, you know what, it has a character and he's talking. But if you have that, it's boring. It's just someone talking. Most people, everybody's like, it's a different layer of individual. There's the individual that can listen to something, can, you know, it starts at the reading, right? They can think about it, they can read it, and then there's the visual with the sound. And then there's the visual with the special effects and the imagery. And then there's the visual with the music in the background with the visual. There's theirs. Time travel works in the same manner. And that's the beauty of it. And the thing is, it's a theory, that's my theory. Just like the scientists have a theory. So my theory is as valid as their theory. And you could be like, oh, well, they went to school and they know this, and I'm just gonna be like, I don't really care what you think, because this is just my theory. So if you can't prove their theory, then how are you gonna say that my theory is invalid? Plus, I have a theory. Do you have a theory? I hope you do. If you don't have a theory, oh, I'm glad you're listening to the theory, and then perhaps you'll come up with your own theory, because it's okay. They're not special. Just because they came up with a theory doesn't make them unique or individuals that only they can do it. You can do it too. Everyone can do it if you wish to do it. Like, say for example, okay, let's say I wanted to pretend right, that I was smarter than what I am. No, there is no pretending. It's just called logic. So let's just say, for example, I'm not strong when it comes to math, all right? Technically speaking, when you speak to anyone that says that to be a scientist, to be someone smart, you have to know a lot of math and you have to be really good at math. I beg to differ, you don't. Because I have a brain. See, my brain works in a way that I can, whatever I'm not able to do, I'm able to do it. I find a way to do it. For example, if I want to solve a mathematical problem that I can't solve myself, well, I'll go over here. I'll come back with a bunch of friends. Hey guys, all you guys are pretty much math geniuses, right? They're like, yeah. Do you guys ever think us outside of math in theory? And they're probably going to be like, no, not really. Okay, that's where I come in. So yeah, I'm going to give you guys a problem and you guys are going to solve it for me. Steve Jobs would say, right? And when you solve it, I'm just going to put the problem in front of you and you have to solve it. Go. They don't know what to do. They're trying to figure it out. But I brought you guys together because I believe in you and I think you guys can do it. First guy, you're going to handle this type of problem. Second guy, you're going to handle this type of problem. Third guy, you're going to handle this type of problem. Fourth guy, this type of problem. All of you separate, working on the problems individually, lost. Remember that, lost. All together, because I'm bringing you together, the 4 problems that I'm putting forth that are different come together to form my problem. Separate, all of them don't make any sense. But on a math level, they do, because they get answered. But when put together, all four become me, the last one that I saw. Because all of you are compartmentalized, separated, I can either A, tell you the answer and tell you why I needed you guys to solve the problem, and the reason why is to get that last problem solved, or B, I can tell you nothing, have you solve the problem each individually, you solve it, you solve it, you solve it, you solve it, and then once I get the answer, you guys don't have a clue, even though you're smart, right? And you guys all say, okay, we solved it, but don't know about each other, and you all walk away, leaving me with the answer. Or I could say, hey guys, this is the reason why I needed you to solve that. Oh, okay, yeah, that doesn't make a big deal. And you're like, well, but by the way, the four answers that I got gave me this one answer. And all of you are like, what? We had no clue. And I go, exactly. Now you know how the government works, because that's how the government does it. That's its thing. It hires a lot of intelligent individuals, and it compartmentalizes them, puts them in a place where they're able to give an answer to a question that is posed to them on their individual ability, and they solve it, and then they use that and grab the answer and put it and insert it in another and another and another until they get the whole answer. So time travel was solved a long time ago, my friends. And if you were to deduce, well, how can you prove it? That's my proof right there. If you didn't get it, go back and rewind it and hear it again. Because I'm telling you that time travel is possible. They've been doing it for a long time. It's been around because they solved it. The only way to solve it is by getting all of these individuals together, which they do exist. They're in our world, and they have the ability. They hold the key. Only intelligent people can tell you this and will know this as a fact, that if you put a bunch of smart people together in a room, and each one with their own individual abilities, and you put a problem in front of them, and either you tell them about it or you have them each work on their separate fields together but bring the information together to form the one, you get the answer. So any other answer, I mean, I can tell you right now, I can get these people together. I can come up with the answer for time travel, whatever. Ask me a question, and I assure you, I can find the answer. That's the challenge. But I would need to gather the people, and they're out there. I know. I would just have to go and find them. Oh, well, you're what? You do equations. What do you do? Nuclear. What do you do? You do hydrogen. Oh, what do you do? You do blah blah blah, whatever. The fields, they exist, right? Now that's why you have something like an entity like a Google, like a Facebook, Zuckerberg. There's a reason why these guys hire the best, and they're buying off the best. Google is becoming a big deal, or was, they have been becoming a big deal. But you ask yourself why they purchase these entities, and why they buy into technology, and why they do all this, because that's what they're doing. They're gathering the resources in order for them to accomplish their goal. The government knows that, of course. That's why they're a part of the government. If you were to do it individually as a millionaire or billionaire, which there are a few starting to do that, then you go against the establishment, which is what that means you eventually come up with the answer. They don't like that. Now there are individuals that can do more than one thing. They're the ones that can do these are the special people that can do the math, the brain thing, the everything this four can do. The thing is, they're a rarity. I wish I was that guy that did math. I wish, because that would help me even more. But does it stop me or hinder me? Not in one bit. Why? Because I know there's a bunch of people here that can do the math for me. And the math is it's just a part of the sequence. It's just a sequential thing. It doesn't stop me. It should never stop anyone. Not having an ability to do something. If you're short, someone's taller than you, well, you know what? You can reach it. Then you reach it for me. It didn't stop me from getting there, right? Simple as that. That's the control agent. That's where you have someone that will control, someone that gets controlled. And it doesn't matter the skill level. And you would think, okay, if so many intelligent people that brag, oh my God, he's a scientist, he got a degree, I got a PhD in this, I got a PhD in that. How many people do you know that brag about their PhD? What have they ever done with their lives? A lot of people that I was working under, they had degrees, they had all these things that they were bragging about. I didn't graduate from high school, and I was still working with them, and I was still doing the same things they were doing. You would think that they would be higher, much higher than me, right? You would think. I'm not in competition with them, but yet they were always in competition with me, which is funny. But if they were so smart, why were they higher? I'm at a level where I shouldn't be, where technically speaking, I'm not supposed to be. Yet I am. And can I reach a higher level? Yes, if I choose to. Everything's about choice. They choose and they want to, and they tell you they're gonna. They never do. That's different. I don't give a fuck. Simple as that. I've never given a fuck. I wish I did. Sometimes. And then I wake up and I go, why am I? No, not really. I'm doing things my way. Maybe today I don't give a fuck. Maybe tomorrow I do. I'm crazy like that. Yeah, that's the difference between me. I don't have to make false promises. I live life the way I want to live it. Time travel. It exists. But here's the proof that it's not hasn't been solved yet by me. Right? Here's my proof, and here's your proof for yourself. Right now, I'm gonna walk into that door. Like, I have to come in through that door, or my future self, if it exists in that theory, then I'm gonna be coming in through that door if I solved it right now. Okay, I will come in. Now, either that tells you that I didn't work and I never found it, or maybe if I did find it and I'm just not stupid enough to put it on video like that, right? You be the judge. But you know what? It's all an idea. It's all it is. It's relativity. Yeah, it's Einstein's theory of relativity. It's not fact. It's a theory.